The Dallas Cowboys look like they're getting ready to drop deck Prescott and draft Jalen Hurts in the 4th round so that we can relive this nightmare all over again. Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals beat the Cincinnati Bengals because, honestly, who hasn't? The Browns continue to let Nick Bosa cook Greg Robinson like a slab of ribs at the family barbecue. If you're just going to line up 5 tomato cans and let Nick Bosa go mob deep and copycat a celebration, fold your friggin' franchise. Look, I understand if you don't want to invest in an offensive line, but that's how Andrew Luck retired, and it's probably why Baker Mayfield might be forced to retire. John Dorsey could have selected Zeus, Cody Ford, Bobby Evans, and those are all just OU guys that I can think of. He could still trade for Trent Williams, which is another, but he won't. And the Browns are just going to keep watching Antonio Hot Hands Callaway drop TD passes because Baker continues to get pummeled while throwing picks. The Bills and Titans combined for 9 sacks and 21 points. Add those two stats together, you'll get 0 playoff teams in December. The Raiders won the Khalil Mack Bowl against the Bears after Oakland nearly fumbled the game away on the goal line, only to see Chase Daniel say, "Hold my beer," and throw an interception with 1:14 left to play. Boo. The Panthers beat the Jags, proving that just because Uncle Rico can throw a football over them mountains doesn't mean he can get beat by a Texas A&M backup and a Stanford nerd. Deshaun Watson and the Texans dropped 53 points and 592 yards of offense against men who swear they're professionals and carry union cards. The Broncos are getting Joe Flacco return on investment with their first win this season against LA. The other LA. At 1-4, we can confidently say 20% of the time it works every time in Denver. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Rams 30-29 to start Week 5, but I want to take a moment to talk about Cooper Kupp. Peyton Manning knew what it was going to be with LA Rams wideout Cooper Kupp. Kupp was a counselor at the Manning Passing Academy for 5 years, and that's how LA Rams GM Les Snead found out what it was going to be with Kupp too. It wasn't that Manning gassed Kupp up. It's that Manning claimed him when it was time to knuck if you buck. That's a Crime Mob reference. YouTube. You're on YouTube. You can look it up. As Snead put it to Sam Farmer at the LA Times, Peyton mentioned to Eli and all the subsequent college QBs, "Hey, Cooper Kupp's my guy. Y'all can figure out who y'all are throwing to, but Cooper's mine." At that point, you took note to follow the kid because Peyton's a perfectionist. And he was definitely going to have someone who was going to be where they were supposed to be and make the catch when they were supposed to make the catch. Seems to be true. And that's Kupp's story in the NFL to a K. Cooper Kupp woke up this morning as one of the best wideouts in professional football, which is remarkable considering he ended the 2018 season injured. Coming off of surgery for a torn ACL in his left knee, he had 388 yards, 32 catches, and 3 touchdowns headed into the Thursday night tilt against my pops' Seattle Seahawks and walked out a household name despite the 1-point loss to my pops' Seahawks in a place he calls the Clink. Speaking of names, the alliterative Cooper Kupp shares the same name as the late family dog, and family names in the Kupp household fill up like this: Craig, Karen, Cooper, Kettner, Kobe, and Katrina. Percussive K's for Little Butt Kicker because that was Kupp when he arrived at Eastern Washington, which claims Jim McElwain, Todd McFarlane, and yes, Colin Cowherd as alumni. I mean, we can include Rodney Stuckey, but trying to keep it, whatever. He weighed 112 pounds when he walked onto campus at Eastern Washington and was an FCS afterthought at an FCS power. He left EW with FCS records for career yardage, catches, and touchdowns. When he got to the NFL Combine, he ran 4.62 in the 40-yard dash, but the Rams knew what it was going to be. It was going to be days like Thursday night where he recorded 9 catches for 117 yards, bringing his 2019 tally to 41 catches for 505 yards with 4 tutties in 5 games. Like Novocaine, just give him time. Always works. Or, in the immortal words of Petey Jones, that's a bad white boy, y'all. The Saints breezed past the Bucs with Bridgewater, and in a 19th century flip, the Colts corralled the Chiefs. Think about that one. The Vikings pillaged Daniel Jones and the Giants, and the offense for 3 sacks and a pick with Dalvin cooking the Giants for 132 yards on 21 carries. The Eagles extinguished the Jets while New York waits for Sam Darnold's spleen to shrink to a size smaller than his 5-head. Baltimore beat the Steelers, but we're all just happy to see Mason Rudolph is still with us, while Ravens safety Earl Thomas is going to owe more than a bird for that hit. The Patriots coffin-nailed Washington, and for this, we must pause and discuss, hence the headline. All of a sudden, NFL beat writers are putting Lincoln Riley's name in their mouths again because we have the first victim in our NFL head coaching Deadpool. Jay Gruden was on Monday, and then he was fired Monday after an 0-5 start, and the truth of his 35-49-1 record as the headman in Washington has set him free. Meanwhile, Dan Snyder is allowing Bruce Allen to keep his job as team president, though Washington is a putrid 58-89-1 since he's begun managing Snyder's urine and dookie brown-clad personnel decision-making. Snyder has fired a few head coaches in 20 years, which is still fewer than the 11 that Cleveland Browns have named head coach, interim or otherwise, in the same amount of time. So we could say Snyder isn't patient, or we can say that he is, depending on how you want to look at it. We can simply say he's not good at hiring a winner. Not one of the 7 he's hired, interim or otherwise, has amassed a winning record. Not Marty Schottenheimer, who lasted 1 year, not Joe Gibbs, who lasted 4, or Mike Shanahan, who lasted 4, or, wait a second. One of those guys is a Hall of Famer, and 2 of them are more likely gonna be, but maybe it's not them. Maybe it's simply Snyder. The Washington Snyders. The Snyders have won just 2 playoff games since Dan bought the franchise and have finished dead last in the NFC East 4 times as often. That's 8 for those of you that are doing the math. Aside from the Snyders firing the lesser Gruden, Trent Williams is still holding out. Cleveland, hello. Jordan Reed was concussed in the preseason and hasn't played it down since. At quarterback, Case Keenum hasn't worked out, and Dwayne Haskins is nowhere near ready, and Colt McCoy is 10 months removed from a broken leg. And that's just the offense. Greg Minuski's defense is a shambles. Josh Norman is proving you can overpay a cornerback, and Ryan Kerrigan might as well be auditioning for Casper at middle linebacker because he's been nearly invisible out there for $14 million in cap space between the 2 of them. But at least they're healthy. Actually, no, they're not. 52 Washington Snyders have been placed on injured reserve over the past 2 seasons. That's 1 short of a full NFL roster. But all that doesn't really speak to the disconnect between Gruden and the HSIC Dan. They did not see eye to eye on draft picks, free agents, assistants, and even game plans. We could talk about how much an owner should be involved in managing the football team itself, but that glosses over the essential question. Who is actually in charge? Is it the head coach? Is it the general manager? Or is it the owner? At Oklahoma, it's Lincoln Riley. Why would he give that up? But they asked, and a source close to Riley said, even if he had eyes for the league, he wouldn't even consider Washington. And that's how you make like The Undertaker and chokeslam an NFL coaching rumor. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.